Hello YouTube, Ford 360 here, and today we're going to be installing 18-pound valve springs into our Predator 212 Stage 1 build. Now, we still have the governor in this, but eventually I will remove this. Might put a billet rod in while I have the case open, just for longevity. Might stick with the stock flywheel, I'm not sure. Depends on whether or not it explodes to begin with. So, what you're going to need, of course, 18-pound valve springs, spark plug removal tool, appropriate tools to remove said things behind the valve cover, including valve cover itself, and rope. The reason you need rope is so when you remove the spark plug and you have it at top dead center compression, the valves are not moving at all, you want to fill the combustion chamber with rope. What that does is it'll hold the valves open so you don't need to remove the cylinder head to replace the valves. Make sure you do that right, or else you're going to drop a valve and it's not going to be fun. Trust me. I personally never had it happen, but I know that that head gasket's going to break and then you're going to need to wait for parts for the head gasket. Not okay. So, let's get started. Alright, so excuse me, if you didn't really hear me, I got the heater going because it's going to get to a low of -2 today. Wisconsin's like that. So, what we're going to want to do is we're going to remove our valve cover first. Start there. Set our valve springs right here. And I'm guessing, since everything on here is close to it at least, that it's a 10mm bolt. That or 8mm. 8mm. Stinks when you got the plastic tool holder and it's cold outside. It's so cold actually. You might want to go hold this by the heater real quick. It's too darn cold. There we go. Heat it up just a little bit. It's really cold outside. You want to make sure you keep track of all your hardware. In my case, I'm just going to be setting them on top of the gas tank. Alright. You can see all of my breath. Here's our spark plug. We're on a little bit of the rich side. I think that's just because of the rejet. More fuel going in, obviously. There's gonna be more. So, we're gonna want to rotate everything to top dead center compression. Now, there is a compression release on here where this exhaust valve cracks open just a little bit, resulting in compression to blow by there. The reason that is like that is so that it's easier to turn over, because it sometimes can be a little bit difficult, but that just helps starting it a heck of a lot easier, especially if you take the cylinder head off, shave it down, get higher compression. That's going to be something you kind of want. So here's our valves moving, and maybe I can get it cracked. Already off to a bad start. Great. Okay. So maybe I can catch it. This rocker arm moved a little bit. There it cracked open and then closed. So we're going to want a screwdriver to see where our piston is at. So, right now, I'd say that's bottom dead center. We want it on compression. As high up as she goes. Think that's going to be good? You don't want any play in the... You want just a little bit of play actually in the rockers, so that way you know that nothing is going to fly out at you. And it's also a good idea to have something to... You're going to want a paper towel, because you don't want these clips that hold on these rockers, considering this is a Hemi version of this engine. The non-Hemi would have the rockers just straight vertically up. These are slanted over to give it the Hemi combustion chamber. So we'll tuck this in nice and neatly. Make sure not to tear it, then it'll just end up in the engine and then you'll have another problem. So, but at least then you can say, hey, I tried not to get stuff screwed up. So we're gonna want to remove this keeper right here. Now these, they call them Jesus clips because a lot of people scream that when they go flying. But I've heard from my dad, they're called Jesus clips because they never fail. Food for thought. Think about that the next time you want to swear at them. There's that. And there's our rocker arm. Nice. You can just leave the push rods in there. Now here's our lash caps. Now I'm not going to be removing them just yet, but hang on, excuse me. Terribly sorry, folks. Gotta get over here. We're not going to remove them just yet because I need a magnet, because they're very difficult to remove with your fingers, but a magnet pulls them right off. There we go. Last clip off, and we can remove our last rocker. Now I forgot initially to label which one there is, because intake and exhaust have different valve lashes, but I just have them set up here just so I won't forget. Now we're gonna want to grab a magnet. Any magnet will do as long as it works. If it doesn't, then it's probably not a magnet. Maybe that magnet doesn't work. We'll be very, very, very careful. Alright, I don't want to screw this up. I'll be right back. Alright, so I just happened to notice that this can koozie with a magnet on the back of it that was sitting on our fridge actually actually has a strong enough magnet to pull these off. So just always keep in mind that it's a lot easier to use a magnet than to pry at them and risk having them fall into the engine a lot greater than if you were to do with a magnet. So now for the fun part of taking some string that I'm not even sure I'm allowed to use and filling the combustion chamber. And this is a whole lot more cost effective and just a lot more simple to do than if you were to, let's say, I don't know, pull the cylinder head off. Alright, so I got one exhaust valve off. I had to do this very tediously. You can see this one moves up and down really easily. This one, heck of a lot stiffer. It is, I'm noticing, a little shorter. Well, maybe if I take the lash cap off, that will reduce its height. Yeah, it's a little shorter. Hope that doesn't affect it too much. If it does, Go Power Sports, you failed me. I'm like really scared I'm gonna screw stuff up right now. Come on. That really hurts your fingers. It's up as far as it'll go. Guess that means the rope is doing its job. Alright, the way you gotta tackle this is remove it. Man, them valve springs are super light. Okay. And then you want to press down on the two sides that are not. You want this here and push and boom. There you go. Installed. Let's put our lash caps back on. Yeah, these are really light springs. Alright. That one's on right, that one's on right. That one wants to come off. Okay. And since I know which one goes where still, which is extremely important to remember. Okay, almost dropped it. That would not have been fun. Alright, now to put the clip back on, so maybe we want to put that towel back, or rag, just something to keep that from going every which way. In fact, a pair of pliers would actually be really nice for this. And I thought taking them off was going to be the scary part. Hey! Okay, one down, one to go. Stuff could still go really, really wrong. I get it. Our valve lash still seems good. I probably won't even mess with the valve lash, I'm not gonna lie. Some of y'all may think, well, why? Why wouldn't you change it? Why won't you check to make sure it's okay? Because I just know it's going to be. Okay. Almost there. Alright. Looks like I'd be... No. Gotta stuff the rag in there again. Keep stuff from falling in the motor. Well, at least then we'll have a good excuse to tear it apart. Just kidding. I would never. Yeah, that's on. And last minute check, make sure you did everything right, you fool. Okay, remove the string. Oh man, that was nerve-wracking. And you pull it over. Good idea to do this a couple times. Exhaust. That's going to warm up a lot more. You know what? Why not? Why not just leave it? We'll roll with that. I'm okay with doing that. Not like I've screwed things up that much. Yeah, our exhaust, the reason that these are different is that our exhaust, it's just naturally going to be more hot. And you want that extra space, extra clearance. I mean, a couple thousandths of an inch may not sound like that much, but it is. You want that extra clearance because this is going to heat up more, and that is going to shrink a lot more. This side doesn't have to be all that much, although it does feel very tight. I probably should check that one over. Man, that is very tight. But yeah, that's how you install the valve springs. Now we just put on our valve cover, and I will quickly check our valve lash. Right then. So, this gasket, it looks alright. Doesn't look like it's too terribly bad. Nothing a good amount of pound-feet of torque, you know, will cinch that right back down. And don't think that this is a very daunting task. It really isn't that difficult to do this. I mean, if I'm able to do it, what's your guys' excuse? We're not. But, yeah, this probably took me, I want to say, 20 minutes, tops? So, yeah, if you're ever thinking about going down the route of maybe removing the governor in your motor, I mean, hey, for one, if the motor blows up after a little while, all this stuff that you put on is all top end, so it wouldn't have been broken. And two, I mean, come on, it's now it's $150 motor, thanks Biden, inflation, but it used to be a $100 motor. That's when this was $100. That's how old this is. But yeah, otherwise, you know, run them, blow them up, do it all over again, and then figure out, hey, billet, you know, greatly increases the strength of an engine, like considerably compared to die cast, which is what the rod is. And plus, you know, once you get that stuff in, then you can throw a big old camshaft in her. Then you can have some serious fun. Go around making sure they're all tight. Don't really want this stuff falling off. Okay. Now we already, all we gotta do is drag this go-kart outside and run the thing. Alright, here we go. Test fire, 18-pound valve springs. Also, I've noticed that the bolts holding on the air filter adapter for this different performance air filter were a little loose, and maybe that was why I was having trouble having it idle earlier, so go! Hey. It still runs at least. Cold-blooded. Really annoying. No noise? Noise. She's getting warmed up, that's for sure. What's nice, I have to take the camera over here. What's nice is it's cold out, so there's more dense air, so it should be making more power by that terminology. This rattles around a lot more, so it's definitely making more torque. Alright.